Ladies and gentle hands, welcome back to the hardcore world. We are over here in our beautiful seaside area of our world. I am absolutely in love with this area, and we worked on it a long time ago. I think it's been a few months coming to kind of visit this area again and give it a nice little polish once more. So right now we have this very like Northern European kind of style here with some really rocky terrain going on, and I've been craving a little bit of ocean action, seeing some nice blue. And why have I been craving so much blue? It's because I've been seeing so much green and brown. You know, we're not anywhere near water in the valley area. It's all very much enclosed by land, landlocked. That's the word I'm looking for. So yeah, I want to give a little visit to this place, give it a nice little bit of attention. So I'm thinking it could be really cool to work on a harbor. I've been kind of cooking up a few ideas for a nice little harbor building here. We have like a little boat shed right here, maybe a nice little dock coming out here, and a little bit of like a scaffolding area for the boat shed. And maybe we can make some cool sailboats, because I've been working on some cool designs, and I really like how it looks. So I think I could share that with you guys a little bit later. But before we begin working in this area, I want to talk about our other area, our other expansions that we've been working on over the past few episodes. Here we are. So over here is our expansion plans for the valley area, our landlocked area. There's Mueller. I was trying to find you earlier. I lost you, buddy. Don't worry, Mueller. I'm not replacing you with old Speedy right here, although he is way faster and low-key way better, but I'll work on you over time. But anyways, over here in the expansion area of our world, we have a lot of terrain here to cover. And instead of doing it all in one video and kind of, it's a little bit boring, to be honest. You know, it's just terraforming and breaking blocks and then pathing and everything. So it's not as interesting for a video. So I'm going to speak this into existence. I'm going to be doing a live stream on Tuesday. This video is going to go up on Monday. So the day after this upload, it's going to be, what is that? April 22nd, I believe. Yes. So I'll be doing a little bit of live stream. We'll be working on the paths in our world and some of the terraforming that goes further out this way. And I want to try getting over the hill over here where these cherry groves kind of go past, and then go all the way over to some more further out terrain. We just got some work cut out for us, and we have a lot of plans for this whole area here. So yeah, I'll be doing a live stream on YouTube here. You can tap in, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications and all that fun stuff. And maybe while you're down there, like the video. But anyways, let's head back over to Seaside. All right, we're back here at Seaside, and I think it's time for us to get started on our little harbor building here, our little boathouse. So I'm thinking we go with a little bit of a red palette. I've been really loving red recently. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just because the red colors in this game are freaking awesome. So we're going to use a red base color with maybe some cool like white frames for the windows and stuff. Maybe we have some sort of like garage entrance, you know, to put the boats in. And then we'll make the docks going all around this area. Maybe we have one dock kind of a bit higher up at like this level for like bigger boats. And then we have a lower dock for some smaller boats, like some sailboats. And then maybe we just try to spice up the area too, maybe add in a few more paths, kind of continue this whole little style we have going on here. And eventually we got to also work on some of the terrain. I'm not sure if we have time for it today, but I do want to get this whole area feeling nice and ready for future buildings and expansions. As always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the montage. Look at our little harbor we just crafted up. I love this thing. This thing is so cute. By the way, do you guys like my sailboat? Look at this thing. Oh my goodness. I am so happy with how this sailboat turned out. Look at all the angles and the shapes I created here. I am so happy with how this turned out. Holy crap. It's perfect. All right, but let's check out the rest of the build on land. I can't, okay, hold on. We made a whole harbor here. And can I even get up? No, okay. All right, well, maybe our harbor isn't entirely practical for for actual boats, but that's all right. It works for the big boats, like this guy right here. Look at this. But look at this building. I am so happy with how this little thing has turned out, and the whole harbor, as as a unit itself, has turned out very nice as well. I love this little dock right here. This right here, I think, is also really, really neat. I like using these posts here, kind of just in the corners. I don't know. I wish I could. Oh, wait, hold on. I have an idea. I was going to complain about how I don't like how it looks on the sides there. Where are my oaks, my spruce signs? Yes. But I think if we go ahead and add signs on these little parts right here to kind of connect these all up, it'll make it look a little bit more solid. And that might kind of cover up my issue with it, where it kind of looks a bit holy. And not like religious holy, but like holy moly. Oh yeah, that looks so much better. Look at that. Holy. Now it feels all connected up right there with the signs. Okay, yes, that fixes my problem with it. But yes, we have our nice little poles here, feeling nice and embedded with the slab there, but we have those signs now to make it feel really embedded with all that. But I'm very happy with how this all turned out. Look, we even have a land sailboat right here with a nice little gray tarp or sail instead. Got some little netherrack or nether brick, holding things right here for holding up the boat. And then we have the actual garage right here, the boat shed, with no boat or any shedding activities in here. But I'm quite the fan of how this has all turned out. Look, I even love the little detail here with the garage. We have like a little pulley system here using like the grindstones as like a sort of gear. You could pull this down and it'll bring the whole garage down. And you have like the sand weight as like the opposing, opposite weight of pulley system. Oh, I just love this. It's such a nice little detail. And another detail I really like is actually these windows here. We're using not fully just trapdoors, but we're also using doors. We're using the pale oak doors to kind of give a bit more of like that shutter look. So if we close all the doors, it actually looks like real shutters. Look at that. That's so cool. It's such a neat little detail. Shout out JBus for suggesting this, because I had sent him over the concept of this place, and he suggested this, and I love the idea. And also like the little texturing on there too makes them look a lot more like shutters. Then we also have a bunch of little trash right here, and eventually this little wheat right here will grow up into a big strong wheat man, and it'll kind of fill up this whole little barrel right here. But we also have a cool little hook, because you got to find some sort of way to bring the boats out of the water into the land. So maybe this is like the hook that drops down and picks up the boat, swings it over to the side here. Eventually we can work on some sort of like, maybe we put a few more boats right here, some, materials of some sort. We'll work on all this, in the future. But I am a big fan of how this is all turned out and how it all connects up. The little wood pathing everywhere, feeling nice and connected. Oh, yes, I love it so much. Now let's talk about the texturing a bit for the actual boathouse here, because I got a little experimental with it, but I'm very happy with how it turned out. Now, we use mangrove wood as our main texturing for the whole thing, which I think looks fantastic. I love using mangrove wood. And we actually transition into using the netherrack through the use of the top texture of stripped mangrove, and also the side texture, and even the actual planks itself, because this middle, little divot part of the planks actually meshes really well with the netherrack texture. And we have a lot of those darker tones in the lines there. So it works really well to transition out. But then we go into these brown colors as our mid-tone to get to our darkest tones. And some of you might not like it too much, but I love it, because inside the innards of the netherrack texture, there's actually a lot of brown in there. As you get darker with red, it gets a lot more brown. So using these brown tones to transition into the darkest of our reds works super, super well, especially from a distance. And I think right here is a great example of it too, working super, super well. And then we also have a little bit of red nether brick and, using the dark oak planks and like some of the other variants of the brown, just for a little bit of texturing, works super well. If you look at it from a distance, if we hop into cheetah cam over here and we fall back a little bit, you can see it looks super, super nice with these, the browner tones there. Now here's another detail I really like about the shed is this 45-degree angle little awning that we have with a rail. I've seen it before, and I decided to implement it into this build, and I think it works super well. Just a tiny little detail using a 45-degree angle rail. The trapdoor on top of it looks like a nice little shutter and awning. Oh man, I love it. I need to use this more often because it's such a nice detail. Now we also have the roof of the building, and the roof is a little bit of a different story because we got a little crazy with it. Now we're using our main, our main texture for the roof is our copper here. What is this one called? I think it's the weathered copper. Yes, the weathered copper. The weathered copper has a lot of these browner kind of tones. This looks really similar to like the light gray terracotta blocks. Now, obviously there's no stair variant of those, so we had to get a little crazy with it. We're using some mud bricks, a little bit of the Oh, what is this one? Exposed? Exposed copper. Okay. Trust yourself, Barce. Then we also got a little bit of the jungle stairs right here as well for just some texturing. I really like how this is all turned out. Oh, I love it so much. Then we also have a little bit of shading here with some dark prismarine and some warped wood and the fully oxidized variants of the copper as well. What is this guy doing right here? You're not supposed to be weathered or coppered or oxidized. Yeah, there you go. I also really like how this whole building kind of ties into the rest of the village too without feeling like it stands out very well. It doesn't feel like it stands out too much because we're using very similar colors. You know, we use the white there as the window frames. We use a lot of the red as the base of the building, and we use a lot of the, you know, the darker cyan colors, I guess, as the roof. And, you know, we got a little bit of it right there, but mostly the roof, you know. And I just love how that really blends together. Oh, I'm so happy about it. Now, I'll be honest, I think some of you guys might not like the roof texturing too much because it is a little bit bold, it's a little bit brash, but I like it a lot because if you also think about it, it could be some sort of weathering going on too. You know, we're next to the sea, and, you know, as someone who's from California and I've seen it myself and I've heard of it, a lot of cars might lose their paint from the salty air and they kind of get a little bit weathered and they get that weird, you know, like faded texturing on the paint. And I'm kind of imagining, you know, maybe the same thing kind of happened on this roof here with the texturing and the weatheredness of, you know, all this stuff here. So maybe some of the paint of the blue paint there, the green paint got kind of scraped off over time from the salty air, you know, being next to the beautiful sea here. All right, now that we've made the whole harbor though, this little boat here gave me a lot of inspiration, and I think it would be really fun to make an actual boat out in the water here, kind of driving on by the whole seaside area here. And I think I want to build a little tugboat. I think a tugboat could be really interesting. And we should try to work in some of our colors from the actual village here too. So I'm thinking, you know, we could use some of the copper here for like the base of the boat. Maybe a little bit of white in there too. And of course the red roofs that we have going on around this area. I think we could do a really good job of making this boat feel like it's part of the area, but also making it feel unique and like its own little whimsical guy out there. Yes, I have a really cool idea for it. I haven't started working on it yet, but we will work on it together in the form of a montage, as always. Now, one thing I want to achieve with this boat is I want it to feel like it's driving on by, like it's chugging on by, you know, kind of looking at the lighthouse or whatnot and just moving on its own way, you know. And we have a solid water texture in this world. I really like how water looks in this, you know, just a nice solid color. It's not too distracting or anything. But the issue is that we can't really convey any sort of motion with that. You know, this water is very motionless. So I think a way we could do that is using some glass panes to kind of make some sort of ripple effect around the boat to make it feel like it's driving through the water and the water is reacting to its movement. And it kind of just gives it a bit more life, a little bit more motion. And I think that could be really, really neat. So that's like the main thing I want to try to achieve with this boat. So I guess without further ado, let's get cracking on this little tugboat guy, all right? I'm really excited to work on it. Let's get to cracking. I would like to introduce you to my new friend. His name is Tuggert. Tuggert the tugboat. I love him. Look at this little guy. He is so cute. I love all the little detailing on him. This is definitely one of the best boats I think I've ever made in Minecraft. And this actually might honestly be one of my best builds I've made on a smaller scale too. I'm just in love with how this turned out. With the rain going on too, it makes it quite cozy with the fog going on, and now it's getting dark too, so we might be able to see a little bit of the lighting kind of shining through the area here. But I love this guy. It is so cool. And look, we even have a little buoy right there too. I like the buoy detail. But man, this is a sick little guy. All right, but we should probably sleep to get a little bit of a better view on that guy. There we go. And now you can also see the glass right there. I am so glad the glass actually worked out because I was getting a little bit nervous when I started placing it down. Because when you're up close to it, you just kind of see the glass and it just feels like glass. But when you get the distance away from it, it actually legitimately looks like ripples in the water. And like we even added a little bit of candles on the front there, similar to what we did with the waterfall. If you guys remember the glass waterfall, very similar kind of strategy going on here. Using a little bit of candles and a little bit more right there too, just to kind of create that extra wake that the boat would be creating in the front. And then we have the ripples going on the side. And we even have a little bit of like a main like center ripple here. Because when I was looking up my research, when I was doing my research, there's like a weird like kind of after trail directly behind the boat. And then there's like the side waves that kind of go out to the sides from the front of the boat where like the water breaks there. And then there's like a bit of water that maybe kind of comes up from the bottom of the boat being kind of displaced and then being pushed to the back. Oh, I love the effect so much. This looked great from a distance, but let's get a little bit closer. We can talk about some of the details. All right, right here is a pretty good distance. I have to kind of bob myself up and down while we talk about this, but look at this little guy. So our main kind of engine going on here is just like a nice little steam engine. I feel like that works really well with tugboats especially. We have a nice little plume coming up into the sky here too. We have a little bit of lichen thrown in there too, just to give a little bit of contrast to this when it's nighttime, which I think looks really good. And we have a nice little base of the waxed copper here, the weathered copper. And here's the glass too, what I was talking about. It kind of looks crazy when you're up close to it, especially since there's like a little bit of a weird rendering thing going on here. We can kind of see through the water, so it looks really strange when you're up close here. We have a nice mixture of blue, cyan, and light gray glass, and then a little bit of the white glass to act as a bit more of like a highlight for like more foamy water. And then the rest of this is more supposed to just be like the ripples in the water. Here's an up close of the buoy. I think this is probably the best buoy design I've ever seen. You could call me out on that if you'd like. I could maybe add some like orange candles on the top here. Maybe even pickles. I did use pickles a lot in this build, which I think is pretty fun. But we're using some of the glass panes here too to force the T shape on the wall here to get that really nice squared off look. Using a little bit of wax copper on the bottom there and a chain to drip down into the bottom. Now let's check out the actual boat. If we hop up over here, you can get a nice in-boat view of everything. I am absolutely in love. Well, let's hop off the boat real quick. I love these little fishing lines coming off the boat. I love the two different angles we have going on here. We have this one that's really, really curved. It has a nice kind of acute angle to it, I guess you could call it. Very, very, smooth. We're using some double trapdoors there to really help transition to this very nice angle where we have another kind of hook using the grindstones once again. I think the two little wood studs there work pretty well as like some sort of hook or a net of something. I mean, we have another hook right here, just a kind of different style. Same one we have going on over there in the harbor. And then also another neat trick I'm using here, and it kind of only works from this side. I was hoping it would work a bit better from this side. It works fine, but on this side, if we kind of crouch around, this glass right here makes it look like some sort of fishing line, like an actual string, kind of connecting this up back to the boat. So if we get some more distance here, you can kind of see what that looks like. And I think it looks really, really neat. Yeah, you can kind of see it right there. It's maybe a little hard to tell because of the stony mountains right there. But I love how that turned out. And then we have our base white right here, which I do really, really like. We got a little torch right there too. A little soul torch right there just for a little bit of subtle lighting. I didn't want a normal torch there because it was a little too bright. But and then we have a little bit of pink hints there as well. Now, I chose pink because I think just using cherry wood and the white terracotta and all that is a really, really fun palette, and it works super well with the pale wood and the diorite. Now, in these other buildings on land, I use sandstone and quartz as the texturing, and I guess calcite too. There is a little bit of calcite in there, but you know, we mostly use sandstone and quartz as our subtle color pop. And here we use pink, and to be honest, I might have to transition these buildings into the pink tones because the sandstone works, but it's a little bit bold, a little bit bolder than I like, and the pink works super well, especially with the stems too. The stems blend it really well into the calcite and the other textures too, which I do love a lot. Now, another neat little thing is that we have the inside of the boat, I guess you could say, and I like how we have the door here, and you can't just walk in, you gotta crouch in. think that's a nice little thing, you know, it makes it feel a bit more crammed in here. Got some nice little strings going on here. And I guess we should make some sort of wheel right here, right? Some sort of way to control the boat. Okay, so if we do lightning rod and a pot on top, it kind of looks like maybe some sort of way to control the boat. Maybe it's more of a directional thing rather than like, I don't know. I really don't know. It feels like some sort of stick you'd grab, like a shift, like a gear shift kind of stick, like you see in a car, and you can kind of drift it around. I don't know. I'm using my imagination a lot here, okay? But if we check out this side as well, you might have seen it from when we backed up a little bit earlier ago, but we have a little bit of an orange color pop here. I just thought this worked out really well. I wanted to do some bold and brash color like I like to do. Kind of matches the buoy. Originally, I wanted to do resin right here because resin is a block that I've been really trying to find an excuse to use. I'm okay with purpur, right? I feel like purpur and resin kind of fall into the same category of blocks that are very difficult to use. And I wanted to use resin here really badly, but I ended up using the red sandstone and it's just better. It's so sad, but it's better. Then right here, also with the little black stone right here and like some of the dark oak wood here, we're kind of creating a sort of maybe like a string kind of going along here, holding up these big old tires to help the boat stay afloat without the steam engine. So maybe when it's parked or whatever, it's a little bit more sunk into the water. But then these tires right here on the side kind of help keep the whole thing afloat, which I really like. A little bit of color pop here too with some green, a little bit of an anti-color pop with the browns right here. A little bit of furnaces right there just for like an exposed machinery part. Another tire right here. This is all part of the steam engine. And then a little bit of like a light gray terracotta right here just because as we talked about earlier, it blends super well with the weathered copper. But overall, I'm super happy with how this all turned out. And look, you can see there's little hints of pickles here. I don't know what it is, but today I've been using a lot of pickles in my builds. And the pickle right up here creates a really, really nice smooth angle all the way to the tip of the ship. And it kind of just looks like I'm sinking into the water too much. And it kind of just looks like the little tip of the ship, the bow of the ship. Using a little bit of that glass there too, just to make sure that feels all connected and bridges all those gaps together. But look at this thing, man. It is so awesome. It is so cute. I love just seeing it out in the distance. Like if we get back on land here, it just looks so neat. Tuggert is the little boat that can. He can fly or drive or swim or something. I don't know. Just another reminder that I will be doing a live stream on April 22nd. I think that's right. It's gonna be the day after the upload if you're watching on Monday, April 21st. We'll be doing a little bit of a live stream working on the pads, going out over here, a lot of terraforming too. You can see I kind of just left this hole open right here. So I'll be working on a lot of the terraforming around here, cutting down some of the trees as well, getting rid of all the foliage and whatnot. We have a lot of plans and a lot of live streaming to be doing. I want to get better at, being a little bit more consistent with live streaming because I love interacting with you guys. So if you guys have never made it to a live stream before, make sure to turn on notifications for the channel or join the Discord in the description below where I also announce videos and also live streams. And there are even a few of the secret live streams I do on Twitch. But anyways, y'all, that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, I really do appreciate it. Big shout out to all of the Barcer pluses on the left side of your screen right now. Yeah, big shout out to all of the supporters. You guys are amazing. And if you guys also use my mod pack, make sure to update it because I've updated for 1.21.5 finally. So if you're an avid mod pack user, please feel free to download or update your mod pack on Modrinth. As always, if you liked the video, make sure to like the video. If you liked me, subscribe. And if you really liked me, consider joining as a member. All right, y'all, that's going to do it. Bye.